The Last of Us is a phenomenal experience. Sure, there are pretentious buttheads who think it's just another shooter that focuses too much on its stupid characters. And sure, the game does actually have some problems, but by and large, where it's strong, it's incredibly strong. When it became free for PlayStation Plus a while back, I figured that was the perfect excuse to replay it, and see how well it holds up. I was excited to do a video discussing what it really did so well, and maybe even see where it could have improved for the sequel. But the closer I got to the finish, the more I realized I just don't have anything to say about The Last of Us. Sure, I could spend some time pointing to the issues I came across, like here where Joel teleports for some reason, this bit here where the culling for background elements is a bit off, an example of enemies spawning and despawning at will. I could spend a minute or two talking about how the part where you have to dodge the turret truck doesn't have the best conveyance in terms of where the player is supposed to be headed, or how the game mysteriously covers the entrance to this underwater area with rocks, without any sounds or vibrating the camera or anything like that to denote what happened. I could mention how sometimes Joel doesn't like to stealth take down enemies, which can not only lead to you getting caught, but can also cause you to get stuck with questionable checkpoints. Conversely, I could do what everyone else has done and talk about how fantastically the mechanics gel with the world and the narrative, or how nuanced the characters and their relationships can be. I could talk about the great level pacing, on-point enemy configurations, set pieces, and balance of the mechanics. I could talk about how impactful and mature the story is, despite realistically being rather simple. I could talk about how smart of a compromise it was to make companions invisible to enemies in a time period where escort quests were usually a huge chore. And to be clear, I'm not knocking anyone who's done this. There's a reason the game has been exhaustively explored, and the reason is because it deserves it. It may not hold up 100% all these years later, but most of its blemishes are really, really minor, with its accomplishments wonderful. But that's just it, right? Everyone else has done the game justice. I realized when going back over my notes just how incidental everything I'd written was. None of it was anything particularly game-breaking, nor was any of it easily reproducible. It didn't come down to raw mechanical design or numbers under the hood. While I'm generally fine bringing these sorts of incidental issues up, I don't think it should be the backbone of criticism in one of my critiques. I just kept asking myself, what can anyone gain from this anecdotal set of events that happened during my lone playthrough? The short answer is not much. As such, I almost ended up canceling the video outright, but then I decided that I could use this as a short lesson to anyone else looking to maybe jump into making videos, or articles, or podcasts, or whatever else that's similar to what I'm doing here. Don't make a video if you've got nothing to say. That sounds obvious, but you might be surprised to just how often it actually happens. People regularly make a video because a topic is popular, or because they're really passionate about something, or because they haven't done enough research to know that all their points have been illustrated better elsewhere. It happens so often, in fact, that misinformation can run rampant. For example, if you ever hear a video talk about how Twisted Metal 2 only lets you play one level on the easiest difficulty, this video is talking nonsense.
Settings. Twisted Metal 2, for instance, would only give you one level and one boss to play through before it threw up on the screen a stop sign with the words, "No losers allowed." Why offer the mode if you're just offering me one level to play?
This quote-unquote fact can be sourced back to some random website that made a list article which referenced the game incorrectly, and in a rather gross fashion, this fact has been passed around like an old pair of shoes by people who just don't do enough research because nobody seems willing to actually test this themselves. I myself know from when I was a kid, and also because I tested it just to make sure, that the game allows you to get about halfway through before it stops you on the easiest difficulty. You can get to Amazonia and beat Minion, at which point then you will be stopped. The popularity of a topic or your passion means nothing if you can't bring something unique to the table, or else signal boost an idea that others share but doesn't get the attention it deserves, so is relatively fresh. What you need to back that up with is something, anything, preferably only you can provide. That doesn't mean you have to scour every video on a topic to see if people have made your same points, and it doesn't mean you can't bring up the same points as a way to bolster them. It's less of a hard and fast set of rigid rules and more a general guide for not wasting the time of your audience. You have to ask yourself whether you're more interested in making an echo chamber for people to hole up in, or if you really want to provide something people can learn and grow from. I'm guilty of this myself on a few occasions, because I had already put too much time into the production of a video, so I just unleashed it to save myself the frustration of axing all of that work. And those are honestly the videos I look back on with the least fondness. They taught me why that's not really something you want to do. Like, who really cares that I'm the billionth person to talk about how rad DBZ Budokai 3 is? Or how great of a Simcade Racer Grid was? Like, I have genuine reasons why I wanted to talk about those games, but if I couldn't find anything unique to say, why did I make them? Even when I align with the general consensus, I always try to find something that I can say that's unique to my experience, but that also speaks to the game in general, rather than just a single playthrough. With The Last of Us, I just couldn't do that. I couldn't find anything worth really discussing from my perspective, despite spending 20 hours playing the game, capturing the footage, and thinking about it a hell of a lot. There was nothing. So if you ever wanted to know what I think about the game, I think it's great. It has gained a few scars over the years, and it's not one of my favorites, but I also think it has had one of the most positive impacts on the industry that a modern game has had. It's a fantastic game, and I have nothing more to add. For now.